Coming to you direct from deep underneath your favorite Japanese wrestling arena, it's time for your high-speedy, strongly styled, fighting spirited, secret handshaking, wink wink nudge nudge, lethal dose of female professional wrestling, primarily in the land of shoguns and rising suns. It's time for you to remove your blindfold, accept a complimentary fruity drink that's totally not sus at all, and learn from our inside terminology, because you, our friends, have nearly willfully accepted the invite and have joined our Cult of Joshi. Now allow me to introduce you to your fighting spirited guides, Raja and John.
We gotta do this differently.
Yes, I think this calls for a special moment.
I mean, I feel like we should be tipping 40 to our homies, and I think we need to be, celebrating everything that is Oscars, and
yeah,
I think that we need to be diving naked off the Hollywood side into a pool of blood and bones.
And razor wire.
What?
Tax.
What did we witness? What did
the world witness this weekend? My goodness. Cinema. It was a whole day of cinema in our case.
If I ever hear somebody say, I don't know, but AEW don't have story, I may drive to their basement and brutalize them.
I don't blame you.
I think I just saw the culmination of one of the greatest wrestling stories of all time and one of the greatest wrestling women stories of all time.
Yes.
Absolutely stateside.
Yeah, 100%. There's no I think about it. I know what I saw.
I've been thinking really hard about it, and there's some stories out there that we kind of create ourselves as fans.
Yeah, we kind of put it in our heads what we want to see.
Some of the horsewomen stuff, and that was retconned incredibly well.
Right, but the stuff that they don't want to say on the show per se.
Yeah.
That fans are just like, oh, this is what it really means.
There's times we knew people had heat.
Yeah.
And we were excited about that. Now, that again is its own story in itself, right? I really struggle to find a women's wrestling event or a wrestling event in modern day that has invoked such feelings.
Yeah. That's just 100% emotional all the way through.
And listen, it's maybe not for everyone.
No, of course not. Nothing's for everyone.
But it definitely was for me.
Yeah, me too. I mean, after this weekend, I just want to find the highest mountain in the world and climb to the very top and scream about how much I love women's wrestling. This weekend was freaking crazy for women's wrestling.
and for the week talk of, I don't know, man, when women start bleeding, listen.
That's my least favorite argument.
Thank you for protecting women, dude.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
I'm sure they're very grateful.
Yeah. So, listen, not only was there color, there was fantastic, immaculate car wreck cover of color, and it was just glorious because it was deserved and needed. And
it was. This was the time for it.
So Raja,
yes,
you're Raja.
I am. I'm Raja.
I'm John.
You are indeed.
What are we talking about?
We are talking about the Hollywood ending. The third match in the installment between Mariah May and Toni Storm at AEW Revolution on March 9th. And we are talking about this hell of a hardcore match that featured no less than a freaking bump off the stage within the first minute of the match. And something that you've taught me about in the past, the freaking Taipei deathmatch, glass on the freaking hands. And you got to mention the champagne bottle to the crotch. I mean, this match had everything.
I mean, listen.
It had everything along with the blood and the gore, just the emotions, and that ending shot of Mariah May laid out and Toni Storm just staying on top of her after the pin in a very I'm sorry, I love you kind of way.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was cinematic. It was everything that it had to be and more, and I cannot get over it.
It was so fantastic. And, so the match itself, you can't justify as in the terms of normal wrestling matches.
Right.
There's no way to judge this in the realm of a wrestling match.
No, because it wasn't.
However, cage match is, with the fan ratings,
Yeah.
it's already top 5 of all time.
Right.
It's in the 9s. There will be some tribalism involved in that, I'm sure.
Of course.
But it's already in the 9s, and which is spectacular in that, because I love how it's from the fans, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what at the time of this, we don't know yet what Meltzer will have on it. Sometimes with things like coochie shots, he may take off something. But in the realm of Toni Storm and Mariah May, nothing makes more sense than a broken glass on the woo woo.
No, because these two have built this story of love and hate and just insanity between them, that this was just the only way that they could go out.
So, again, if you haven't seen this match, go out of your way.
Go like 100 miles out of your way.
Buy it on Amazon Prime, by the way.
Yeah, it's great quality.
We had a rough time. We got the event on Fight,
like we always do,
and we're trying
to be loyal.
We're still trying to get our refund from Fight, because it glitched at first and then started screwing up. And let me tell you about me and Raja. We have none of that shit.
No.
So we're like, all right, well, they were just pushing the hell out of Prime.
Yeah, we want to watch our wrestling in high quality.
We got it on Prime, and it was better color. It was just glorious, no problems with anything.
Yeah.
So just
it was gorgeous.
Throw that out there.
And I'm glad we got to witness this match.
Yes.
On Prime, because there's this one shot during the match. They use that oversaturated down camera, that down angle camera above the ring, over top of Toni Storm, who's just laid out covered in blood.
Yeah.
And it just looked magnificent. I have no other words for it.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where I love blood.
Yes.
In wrestling, and I believe in my first 100 matches. This is so terrible. I believe that one time, because I always made little. I'm weird about lists. So, when I was a kid and like a teenager and keeping a calendar and stuff, I had a date book. And whenever I went on a date, I had for if I kissed somebody, it was a symbol.
Right.
That kind of thing.
You got to keep track.
Whatever else we did, there were symbols.
Right.
And you talk about a bad day. When my steady girlfriend that I got like a couple years later, I had like 2 or 3 years worth of these books.
Right.
When she hacked the system,
oh no, she figured it out
and figured out what the symbols were.
You found yourself a puzzle, girl.
It was really funny because she goes, "I just want to know which one is kiss and which one is," and I refused to tell her.
I'm sure it's not that hard to figure out.
I think that told everything. But in this realm of things. Jesus Christ, Raja. 99 out of the first 100 matches that were not battle royals.
Right.
There's a caveat. I bled. Now, knowing what I know now and having the experience I have now,
right.
I wouldn't have done that.
You might have pulled it back a little.
But I would bleed without telling someone I was going to bleed. Like,
you just went out
try making it look hard way.
Right.
And if I was in there for a veteran, they'd shit can me to the floor or something. And
couldn't help yourself.
I couldn't help myself because that was how, I grew up on dusty booking,
Right.
I grew up on, hey, it's the bash. We're going to bleed in every match.
Right.
This, you don't see it used correctly though. And, ECW ruined a lot of things for a lot of people. As great as it was, people kept trying to up everything.
Right. They kept trying to get crazier and crazier.
Just like GCW. You know, it eventually, those things burned themselves out.
Right.
So
you can only get so crazy before people start going, oh, maybe you're pushing it a bit too far.
Yeah, and even AEW at first, they were very wide open. They were like, we can do whatever we want. This is cool. We've all been chained for so long. And
yeah.
You know, so they couple years, right, to find the footing. I think some of the booking that's been going on for the past 6 months has been just spectacular.
Absolutely.
Just spectacular, just incredible. And everything's been building to something. And, you know, here's the matches for next week and 2 weeks from now and 3 weeks from now. And, you know, everything's been really incredible. Well, at the same time, through all of this, even before they had really got their footing back, we had the first part of this story. We had the first part. We did a whole special of the podcast
about Toni Storm. Even before Mariah was introduced to the story.
Before she was introduced, but we were already putting Mariah over from Stardom.
Oh, yeah.
From the coverage of Stardom.
Mariah May is a gift.
If you go back in the archives, there is episode after episode where we are just begging the gods.
We're just fawning over Mariah May.
We're like, hey, there's rumors that she may go to AEW. We don't know.
Please, yes.
And we were so excited about the possibilities of that. When she showed up, she being Mariah, and she was just like, Toni Storm, you're my favorite wrestler, blah, 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 blah. You went, you know, from England to Japan, to blah, blah, blah. We were just like fangirling all over the place.
We were.
Like, this is amazing.
And here we are, a year and 2 months into her AEW run.
Yeah.
And this is what we've become.
I just remember it so vividly because I was like, oh man, that's like the Mickie James fan angle with Trish Stratus. And, you know, like it was very cool. But through all the stuff they've done and all the big matches they've built up to, the crazy Tony, just everything, to culminate like this and live up to it.
Right. The fact that they actually did the ending right, which is so rare in wrestling.
I think during the match you look over and you go, Britt who?
Yeah. Maybe.
And it wasn't a knock on Britt. It was a knock on that violence.
Right. On the level, the different level of just craziness. And I think when this whole Mariah Toni story started, we all knew it was going to break down eventually.
Yeah.
And like at first it was like, well, Tony's going to take her for granted, or she's going to think she's better than her or whatever, and Mariah's going to get fed up. But it turned into this crazy love story that I don't think anyone was expecting it to be.
Right.
And even in the end, when they just completely obliterated each other, you can tell that they still have that love for each other. And it's just such a real emotional thing.
Absolutely. And, you know, and I love the connection back to Joshi, right?
Yeah.
I love the fact that we can talk about this and there's still that connection back to Stardom.
Of course.
And speaking of connections to Stardom, the other match on the show.
Oh my goodness.
We had
for the TBS title, Mercedes Moné versus Momo Watanabe, which was an excellently worked match.
Yeah.
These two went out there, they showed everything that they've got. Mercedes just continuing this crazy run of amazing matches that she's been having, showing her worth and proving why she is 3 championship Moné right now.
Yeah, and also, you know, in this match, she overcame quite a bit. Momo,
oh my goodness.
had an errant kick to Mercedes' throat.
Yes.
That bruised her larynx.
Yes, and Momo did take some damage herself on a top rope move. She hurt her ankle.
Yeah.
So there's nobody left unscathed in this match because they were just going that hard at each other.
You know, I was watching the Ups and Downs show, and I don't know, did you watch that with me?
I watched a little bit of it with you.
Okay, sorry.
I did hear him talk about this match.
So I got I don't usually get upset at people's opinions. I just don't, because they're opinions, right?
Right.
And he gave it an up and a down, right? And the down was because of not feeling like Momo was a credible challenge to the belt.
Like she would ever win.
I didn't feel that way going in. Like, I really felt, as you know, that Momo had really a shot at winning this.
Yeah.
Because of some of the matches that could come out of it and some of the things we could do with some of the big shows. I was thinking of the big show coming up with Stardom.
Yeah. Like if they had put the TBS title on.
Can you imagine
Grand Queendom,
having a rematch, even giving it to Momo for a couple weeks?
Yeah.
and putting Grand Queendom.
Yeah, literally anything could have happened.
Yeah,
I think.
so that's what I was thinking, just from a whole world of scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Yeah, I always go into that stuff with an open mind because you really never know who could win what at any time.
But this match with I think, see, I'm one of those weird. Oh man, I'm weird. I kind of like when things don't go right.
Right, when it's a little scrappy.
And I don't mean things not going right
fight.
like Jackie Gata in the mid 2000s. I'm talking about things not going right like an errant kick and how you overcome.
Right, and you still go on to wrestle the rest of the match.
Yeah, and this match, I love this match.
It was so good.
It's so funny because this is wrestling. This is wrestling. But,
yes, and it's easy for even a match like this to get lost on a pay-per-view of this caliber, where it was put and everything. And because of the performance that Mariah and Tony put on, it's like it kind of gets lost in the shuffle for a lot of people, I think. But it really is a match worth watching.
So the only criticism I'll give on the pay-per-view is one that came from you again. I'm going to out you. Because you're right. Because
I'm just over here talking shit.
And I think anybody that watched it, the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I don't think it's a hot take.
Yeah. I think everybody was so, after the Will Ospreay cage match, how do you fucking go? How do you watch anything? You can't, there's nothing in this universe.
After the opening shot of them both on top of the cage, I don't think you follow it. Like, not even the match itself.
You could have put like a popcorn match in between and closed the show with Mariah and Tony.
I think that's the common opinion, is that the end shot should have ended the show. Yes.
It should have been the end.
It would have been so perfect.
My opinion is we should have had, you know how they dropped the MJF flags?
Yeah.
I think we should have dropped a curtain like you're watching a performance.
Right. Like a red curtain just come down.
Have the end and then have that drop. Yeah. And then just the AEW logo.
That would have been so cool. But hindsight's 2020, I guess.
It is. Listen, in the whole world of things, and I said this during the match, this match will be studied.
Yes.
20 years from now, there'll be podcasts or whatever the fuck they are at that point.
Whatever we're doing 20 years from now.
There'll be moon gibbets. You know? I love that new moon gibbet thing. It's doing wrestling history. But
they're talking about that old women's wrestling.
Yeah, that Tony Storm that won that title 49,000 times. You know, I think that people will go back and look at the trilogy.
I agree.
I hope to God.
I want to go back and watch the trilogy.
I hope to God that it remains a trilogy.
Me too. I don't think there's any reason to do anything else with those two at this point. Like, you got to let it go now.
Until they're 53 and they're in TNA. Mm-hmm. You know, when TNA digs them up at 53 years old.
Right.
And they're like, we're going to do it again, you know? when it's like fucking Moolah and May out there at 83 years old or something. Okay.
I think Mariah needs to like disappear entirely for a short period of time and let it all breathe, because we all need to catch our breath after that.
I think they need to be on complete separate paths.
Yes.
And I think that Mariah needs to be in with Mercedes.
Yeah, we just need to completely separate it.
I think we need to get Mariah going after Mercedes. I think that somehow we have to get... I want Mercedes versus Tony at, you know, in All In this summer.
Right? Like, just push Mercedes up to the main title picture.
I was thinking, do we want that match? Because there's another match that I want to unify titles.
Yeah.
On that card. Mm-hmm. And it's Okada and Kenny.
Right. To unify the international and the continental.
It just makes sense.
And I think there's been a lot of back and forth on X between Mercedes and Athena. So I feel like that might be a prospective match for All In.
In Texas?
In Texas, yeah, for the Athena country.
Yeah, because that would be a perfect person to beat, you know, Mercedes.
Yeah, and to bring Athena up into the more AEW side of things. Not that I don't love her in Ring of Honor, obviously, because she's the forever Ring of Honor champion.
She's amazing. There's a lot of possibilities coming.
There is, and I think we're definitely heading towards the Tony Jamie reunion that everyone wants to see.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're going next, probably.
And speaking of Britt Baker, I hope she's back. Like,
Yeah.
I hope Britt Baker's back soon, and I hope that she's back without any strings attached. Like, maybe just start at the bottom and work,
yeah. Don't try to come right in at the title picture.
There's a lot of questions out there.
But honestly, Sunday was such an emotional day entirely for us because we started the day almost in tears over women's wrestling, and then we ended the day in tears over women's wrestling.
Absolutely. We did cry. Go ahead, tell them about it.
Well, on Sunday morning, we went to see Queen of the Ring in theaters, which is, if you don't know, the movie about Mildred Burke and her life and her career as a single mother in women's wrestling, trying to get women's wrestling legalized so that these girls can go and wrestle wherever they want. And it had, like Mae Young and Gladys Gillum and Elvira Snodgrass and June Byers, all the girls.
And for those of you who don't know, Mildred Burke she's the reason we had All Japan Women.
Yes, she's like the main inspiration for Joshi.
Yeah, she came over and got it started. She trained them, and the guys wouldn't. So that's,
they didn't want anything to do with that.
That traditionally is why women's wrestling in Japan was so unique.
Yeah.
Because it really was.
Because it was completely separated from the men. Like, they just trained on their own with other women, and that's it. It was not a form of men's wrestling, and that's why they have their own unique style and their own way of doing things that works for women, because it's just women's wrestling.
Yeah.
It's not an offshoot of men's wrestling.
So this movie, it may have taken some liberties with a few things, but I think...
Right. Dramatizes things and mashes storylines together to fit it all in one movie.
Yeah, and that happens with Hollywood, but honest to God, man, this made the Von Erich movie look like...
It was night and day.
Yeah, I mean, this movie had emotions. It was entertaining. It was fantastically shot. It was beautifully shot.
It was a beautiful movie.
It was a beautiful movie.
I really loved it.
And I love Jim Cornette did great.
He was great. He really was.
So many people did so well in this film.
Oh, all the actresses that played the wrestlers were spot on. Yeah. I was so impressed.
No character did I like better than the Mae Young character, though.
Mae Young was great.
It was just that whole, at the time, being a lesbian and but also being a badass.
Yeah.
And I just love the movie, and I hope that they get a shot to get this thing out there more.
Me too. I hope they get their flowers for it, because they really did it justice, I think. It was really great.
One of the best wrestling movies I've seen. It goes up there with Queen of Villains.
Yeah.
Which is probably my all-time favorite.
Yeah, 2 pieces of women's wrestling media have just hitting it out of the park. They've really done a great job the past year in representing the past of women's wrestling.
What a day.
Sunday was intense because it was like just the emotional feeling of like going on X after the Mariah Tony match and seeing everyone just freaking out and about how amazing it was. It was just like this feeling of like, oh my God, we've done it.
Yeah.
This is it. We've done it. We've made Mildred Burke's dreams come true. And it was just a moment. I loved it so much.
It was awesome, man. You ready? You give it
Yes.
Sunday.
Sunday gets the Cult of Joshi clap.
Yes.
But being that it is Cult of Joshi, this show, I think we need to head on over to Japan for a little talk about some stuff we saw on that side this week.
Holy crap.
This weekend.
Quite a lot of stuff.
It was. We did a little catching up. We played a little catch up from the weekend before.
Yeah, with some mustard.
The CMLL Joshi show that they put on in Japan, which was really entertaining. One match that I would suggest, if you have Wrestle Universe and you're just looking for something to watch, and you haven't seen this show, you should look it up and just go watch the Mei Suruga and Hanoka versus Kohaku and Sayaka match, because it was fabulous.
So, flowers time.
Flowers.
For those who don't know, Kohaku is unbelievable.
She's incredible.
She really is, and she's one to watch. You've seen her if you watch Stardom.
Yes, she was in the Goddess of Stardom Tag League, teaming with Mei Seira this past year.
Just an amazing performer. Hanoka has come light years
She's gonna be a big star.
Hanoka is just incredible. She's mask wrestler and just incredible. But Mei Saruga.
We love Mei Saruga.
From the first time I ever laid eyes on Mei, I felt the same way many people did.
Yes. She just has something about her, doesn't she?
Fun for a boy and a girl.
She's just so cute and she's so full of life.
Just happy,
yes,
adorable.
And also can go in the ring.
Gorgeous and incredible in the ring.
Yes, she's got it all.
Just, I love Chuckle Pro.
Yes.
But
we love it for what it is.
Quit hiding the good wrestlers.
Let them out. Let the world see them.
Mei Saruga goes everywhere, but man, I have to be careful what I wish for because sometimes you get that and they take away who that person is.
Right.
But damn, I want to see Mei Saruga out there.
Yeah. We always love to see more.
I know she's in Tokyo Joshi under the different name, but
yeah,
still yet.
But this match in particular just was a nice little showcase of all of these wrestlers.
Great match.
So it was really fun to watch. Something else that we caught up on was the March 1st Sendai Girls show, which we hadn't had a chance to watch yet.
Good God.
And it was just so fun. It started off with a classic Miyuki Takase singles match against Soy. And man, if I never feel a soy chop in my life, I'll be happy.
Man, Soy, another one has come so far.
Yeah.
And it's just all that in a bag of chips.
She really is. She's still very young into her career, and she is so good. Shin Hirota Sakura hitting us up with some more laughs and joy against Zone S.
Who?
Shin Hirota Sakura. One of our all-time favorite wrestlers.
So having her with Zone S It
just makes you feel something, doesn't it?
It's just so incredible. We were so happy. And instantly, right?
And Zonas is so good, because she's such a serious wrestler, she was so good in this match.
Just Hirota is just
she is a joy and a gift, and I love her so much. Yura Suzuki and Ryo Mizunami teaming up against Yurika Oka and Hiroyo Matsumoto. Just hard-hitting, crazy match. Maria from Marvelous versus Dash easy for me to say.
Well, yeah, what in the
Dash
world? She's
Chisako.
coming for you now. She's coming for you.
No. It's okay. It's okay. Dash Chisako, I love you. Please don't hurt me. In the semi-main event, Chi-Chi teaming with Sareee against Yuna and Miki Iwata, which is just two sides of the same coin.
It's like somebody had a room bugged.
Yeah, they were like, what could be the best possible match to put on for these two?
Let's put love of his life and best wrestler on the planet.
And then love of her life and one of the best up-and-comers.
Yeah.
With one of the greatest theme songs, let's be real. We looked up her theme song one night and we just went down this rabbit hole of this band. It was so much fun.
Yeah, the rabbit holes are the whole thing about this.
Yes.
Well, Jesus
This
Christ.
match was crazy.
More about Sareee to come.
Yes, absolutely. And in the main event of this show, Maika and Natsupoi teaming up, reliving their DDM days together to take on Manami and Chihiro Hashimoto. So you got the two Spitfires versus and the two powerhouses in there against each other. And man, Natsupoi doing the release suplex on Chihiro Hashimoto. What?
Yeah, Natsupoi is arguably the bruiser of the two.
That's fair.
I mean, we've said this forever, but let's for a second dial it down a bit and give a speedy recovery and best wishes to Natsupoi.
I know, I'm so sad.
An errant drop kick through the ring, looks like it hurt her a little bit there on her leg. We obviously noticed it the next night.
Yeah, we mentioned it. She's hurt and she's going to be out a little while. I don't know if there's been official word on how long, just that she's recovering. But we did see her this past weekend and she was still limping, so it's very sad.
She was limping hardcore too.
She was, but this was a fun match to watch because it gave us all of the poi.
Yes.
Every bit of the poi. And I love Manami. She's so quick and fun. And of course, Chihiro and Maika, we need the singles match. We need it soon.
We do.
And with Sendai Girls, it's so much fun to watch. It's just such a beautiful breath of fresh air.
It's a
and
joy.
all of the matches are always on point. And they have on the 19th the Best of Joshi coming up, which we're going to do a whole preview for.
My God.
And everything as we get closer, but it's going to be a good show.
It's going to be a great show. That's the one you need to go out of your way to find. And as soon as it's, they broadcast it live on Wrestle Universe.
Yeah, like you gotta be there for that one because they're putting on some bangers.
Speaking of beautiful, so Sareee-ISM has taken over a lot of love out there.
Yes.
Sareee was voted in the top 5 of bookers for last year in Wrestling Observer for good reason.
Yes.
So the Sareee-ISM shows, if you've not got one of the pay-per-views, they are gorgeous. They are, full HD, like you're getting the 1080, and anybody who watches Joshi knows the pain there. Because sometimes you're watching stuff that looks like it's from 1972.
Sometimes you don't have much of a choice.
But I mean, just really looked good.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it. Like, there's good, and then there's, wow, this looks amazing.
Right, and you're in there in that packed out Shinjuku face, and it's just with that mat with the big S compass in the middle. It's just such a vibe.
It's so good. This show,
it's incredible.
This show was fantastic, but it did come out with in a weekend of match of the years.
Yeah,
a wrestling match of the year contender came out of there. But tell them about the card.
Okay, so this, for a card that only had 5 matches on it, it felt like a huge show. Just watching it. It started off with a singles match between Misa Kagura and Shaw, and if you told me that one of these ladies owed the other a ton of money before this match, I would believe you.
Yeah.
Because they took it out of each other.
So yeah, and it is amazing. It was so violent.
I've never seen Misa Kagura beat someone like that before.
It was just violent, and it gave shades of old school Joshi.
It did.
It
felt very much like that.
All of a sudden, I was feeling like I was watching, Inoue.
Yeah.
Out there.
Takako in a way beating the crap out of somebody.
That's what it felt like.
Oh my goodness.
And I love the fact that they went for it like this.
I know. It was so good. Tag match, Yurika Oka and Kohaku teaming up against Kaoru Ito and Jaguar Yokota. 2 names that we know from the past.
This was so much better than it should have been.
I know. Man, Jaguar Yokota gets me every time. I freaking love that lady, okay?
I mean, the very fact that we were sitting there doing the numbers and we were like, you realize that Kaoru Ito is a young girl to Jaguar.
Right.
Like,
essentially.
And like, she's never outgrown that. It's one of those shitty things. Like, sometimes when you work, you'll be at a place like 12, 15 years, and there's still like that person that's been there 25.
Still the senior, and you're like still like the new kid to them.
And you're like, come on, seriously.
I've been here for a decade.
But
yes, but this match was so good. I love seeing these ladies work because they can still go.
Yeah.
And Kaoru Ito doing those sentons and those stomps, like I just need a minute every time I see it. After that, Hinori Hana and Vinny teamed up to take on Chi-Chi and Dash Chisako. Yet another match where I don't know what Hinori Hana said backstage, but
the only thing that I can imagine is in the back, Hinori Hana was like, all right, look, I got some shit I want to get in. I'm not okay with fucking taking that, or that. And I don't even know what this is.
My goodness. They did not give her an inch in this match, but she didn't give up. She was all about it.
Yeah, they beat the piss out of her. Everybody, including her own partner.
Yeah. Even Vinny was like, yeah, I'm not going to tag in right now.
I mean, they beat the brakes off this girl through the whole thing. And then at the end of it, Dash still came over there and you could tell was giving her the...
Yeah, it was kind of like and don't let it happen again kind of thing.
Yeah.
In this semi-main event,
more violence.
Sariano took on Miku Kane of T-Hearts.
Yeah.
Yumika Hota's promotion.
Yeah, and apparently it's one of Hota's prized possessions.
And if you know anything about Yumika Hota, you know that she's a bad one, okay? Like, she is... Oh... Those kicks.
This is where we saw Poi limp out, and
yes, it was supposed to be her in this match.
She did the ring announcing, and sort of Soriano came out there, and hey, stepping up for your friend. Yeah, I'm going to do this match. It's wonderful, and then all of a sudden,
oh no,
there's an errant flip off the top.
Soriano got busted
hard way.
all over her face.
She had the eyebrow.
Yeah.
The eyebrow, the old school.
Here's how you do a hard way, kid. You just bring this right down on top, right on the just fatty part right here, because it gets skull and
Yeah, but Miku kind of got her mouth busted as well. Like, it was just a testament of this whole night of how hard everyone
What I
was
loved
wrestling.
about it is when Sareee-ISM tasted her blood, she went up that level
Yeah.
of... She kept it professional, but she beat the piss out of this girl.
She did. She really gave her what for.
Yeah.
And Sareee-ISM is just one of my favorite wrestlers personality-wise, because she does this thing where when the other wrestler fires up or like gets one off on her, she smiles.
Yeah.
It's just the littlest thing, but it's so perfect for her character. And I loved this match. Obviously, Sareee-ISM won, but she kind of gave Miku like... She was trying to give Miku like a handshake, and Miku shoved her away, but then she kind of like apologized. She like bowed
Well,
to the ring.
We do know that Sareee-ISM's got issues, and
Yes.
she likes to be beat.
Yes.
So I mean, listen, it is what it is. She wrote a damn article. But listen, Mika Iwata.
Yeah, Sareee-ISM and Miku Iwata talking about how much they love beating the crap out of each other and seeing the fire in each other's eyes. You don't get over that.
No. But then there's something we really didn't get over.
Oh, the main event of Sareee-ISM Chapter 7 was Sareee versus Shiri in a singles match. And they did a lot of talking heading into this match about how much they both want to challenge Mayu Iwatani for the IWGP Women's Championship again, because they've both challenged in the past and not come up with the title, obviously. So this match was very important to them both, and they were locked in from the moment that the bell rang. Okay, like, Shiri has the scariest dialed in face that I've ever seen, and Sareee is just a presence that's difficult to overcome. She just draws attention to her. But this match, they started off with a little kind of shoot ski, with the grappling, like they were testing each other. But then it just went full bore into the kicks, into the stretching, into the urinages, It was insane. It was 30 minutes of absolute insanity.
And the 30 minutes felt like 5.5.
It did. It didn't feel like a 30-minute match. It went the time limit. This was a draw. 30-minute time limit draw, very similar to the match we saw between Shiri and Masha Slamovich last year during WrestleMania weekend. It's just 30 minutes of just blind insanity, beating the crap out of each other. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they're still standing.
No, this one was, so much better than most matches, just because the level of both of these ladies. And the fact that you can be really deep in the match and still, listen, you guys have heard sick headbutts before. I don't know if you've ever heard such a sick headbutt.
That first one that Sareee gave, where she just hauled off and just skull on skull, slammed their heads together. I cannot. And there was even, like, they did the whole storytelling thing, Shiri's working on the arm, trying to get the arm weakened. Saree's working on Shiri's leg, trying to get that down. She did a stomp on Shiri's leg that was sick. And it was so good.
It's perfect.
Everything was so good.
It was perfect.
I loved it so much.
There was another moment.
But it begs the question, who's going to challenge Mayu Iwatani?
Well, maybe it's a three-way.
If it's a three-way, I will lose my entire mind. I don't know if I can handle that match.
Three-way would be amazing because, again, rules would be out the window, right? So
yes.
That kind of makes it fun.
Yes, it does. It does, because they're all crazy.
The thing I like about a three-way is Mayu Iwatani could lose without losing.
That's fair. It's a good way to protect her.
And then you still get the rematch because you didn't beat me.
Yeah, but this match went so far in proving the point we've been trying to make about how Shiri needs to be in a title picture of some kind.
Yeah,
she needs to be topping the card.
Yeah, she's a top of the page person.
She's so good. And I know she's not like grown from Stardom wrestler. She was kind of an outsider that came in, and she's been doing her own thing with God's Eye. But it's just such a shame not to have her having this kind of match on the regular basis.
At the same time, we do. I think we should be celebrating also the fact that we have shows like this.
That's fair.
Where we do have her at the top.
Yes, and she obviously gets the love that she deserves because fans see it. They see what she's all
Toru
about.
Okada, Okada, he talks about how much he loves pro wrestling. So I know he watched this.
Yeah.
It has to have an effect.
Absolutely.
You know, anybody who loves wrestling, especially female wrestling, it's going to have an effect. I think sometimes when you go outside of your company or go do something else and you get over,
Yeah.
people are like, oh, okay, yeah, we
understand
You
now.
were here the whole time. Sorry. I didn't see you.
Yes, but Sareee-ISM Chapter 7 is totally worth the $30 that it costs to buy it on pay-per-view and watch.
And actually buy it. Don't look for YouTube or whatever. You know, support the ladies.
Yeah, because you're going to love it anyway, so it's totally worth the money. But that was all the catching up we did over the weekend. It was a lot of fun. We had a jam-packed Joshi weekend.
And there was something else.
There was, yes.
There was a little tournament we were keeping up with.
And the Cinderella Tournament
Something
2025.
that Raja was doing well with, and I was completely off the rest. I mean, I was gone.
That's okay. You usually do better than me, so this was my one chance at redemption, and I just happened to hit it. But we did have a show on the 9th. We covered the 8th as soon as it was over with, the opening night. So this was the quarterfinal night of this Cinderella tournament, and this night was not a pay-per-view. It was live on Stardom World, and it was not great quality, but we watched it, boy howdy.
It was like they had a couple of chipmunks running in a machine to get us our Wi-Fi signal on this. Even going back, and we went back earlier because we were going to rewatch some of the matches before we recorded.
Right.
If they had uploaded the better version.
Mm-hmm. You know, like the recorded version.
They didn't. It looked like junk, man.
They did not. This is nothing.
This has happened a few times.
Yeah.
I don't know the symptoms that causes the cold, but
they need to find the medicine.
They do.
Real fast.
They do.
Because it makes it less fun to watch.
Yeah, it doesn't happen every time, but Joshi and Stardom is so facially oriented.
Yeah, you got to have all of the details to put the story together.
And there's so little minute details that happen.
Absolutely.
Little looks, little, innuendos. So anyway, what do we got?
All right, so this night kicked off with Aya Sakura, Yuna Mizumori, and Tam Nakano versus Momokogo, Sareee-ISM, and Mayu Iwatani. So a little Cosmic Angels versus Stars, just kind of like a fun little match to see what we got going on. And this match actually ended in a kind of interesting way because Sareee-ISM got the win with the lariat, but following the match, Momokogo made it clear that she wants nothing more than to challenge for the Goddess of Stardom championships alongside Mayu Iwatani as Peach Rock. And, of course, the Goddess of Stardom champions are Sareee-ISM and Hanan Wingori, who are also in Stars. So they seemed perfectly happy to give Peach Rock this title match.
And I don't think, the cool thing about a lot of the factions, they don't mind to go at it.
No.
And then we'll, a lot of times it's incredible matches and they go right back and they're fine afterwards. I love that.
It's just wrestling. They're just good competition.
I love that because in a lot of wrestling companies, if you had a faction that was versus a faction, there's going to be a turn.
Yeah, usually.
And I don't even expect one when we're in Stardom.
No, they're just going to have this match and then everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's just stars being stars. And I think it's interesting because it's like a challenge for Momokogo to go against Hanan and Saida, but it's a challenge for Wingori to go against Mayu Iwatani at the same time.
It makes it very interesting because it makes it hard as shit. I mean,
it does.
Mayu Iwatani could totally win this for them.
Yeah, she could win it single-handedly, or Momokogo could make it very difficult for them to win, or she could be even better than we expect. You never know.
I don't want Mayu Iwatani stuck in tag team stuff right now.
No, it doesn't seem like where she should be at the moment, going into Grand Queendom and all.
Yeah. So,
but I guess we'll see how this pans out when it comes up next week, I believe.
Here's what I'm hoping. I hope Hanan pins her.
Ooh, interesting.
And challenges her.
If someone were to pin Mayu Iwatani, it would make like the huge shockwaves.
If she pinned Mayu Iwatani and we got a singles match for Hanan.
That would be such a beautiful match. I can already see it in my head.
For the IWGP belt. That's what I want to see happen.
That would be really cool. I'm all for that if that's how it ends.
Yeah.
Let's go Wingori. Make it happen. The next match was a singles match where Akira Kuragane went against Azusa Inaba, and this, of course, was because Azusa ended up getting a bye in the Cinderella tournament, but I guess they were like, we're still going to make you wrestle a singles match on this night, just like everyone else that are going to the semifinals, so that it's fair.
I love it, though.
Yes, and this match was just, like, Akira, we've already talked about, is already so good, and seeing her work against Azusa just solidified how good Azusa is as well.
Yeah.
They put together an excellent match.
Excellent match that, honestly, towards the end, we were like, holy shit, is
Akira gonna win?
Yeah, because it would be a cool story because it's not an actual tournament match.
Right.
So if she would win that against Azusa, I was already in my head like, well, then Azusa wins Cinderella.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it makes a lot of sense because that gives Akira an upper thing for later on.
And that's been quite the theme in Akira's matches, where she just gets so close to winning already in her career, which is crazy because she's like a month in.
Yeah, she already feels like listen, the only comparison I can really make in modern times is Utami Hashista.
Right.
Right off the bat.
Yeah, getting a draw on her debut.
She seemed like a 30-year veteran, you know?
I mean, she just feels like a natural. So this was a really cool match. Azusa did get the win using her running knee, so she's going into the semifinals confident, I'm sure.
Yeah, Azusa looks great, man.
She does. And then we had another singles match where Yuri Hime took on Hanako, and this was it was a fine match. They didn't really have a lot going on, and Hanako won with a brainbuster, like just a vertical suplex, which was very
strange,
odd.
Wasn't it?
It was very weird. And following this match, Aya Sakura decided to just glare Hanako out of the building, which was funny.
Yeah,
I know they have a New Blood title match coming up, but it was very silly.
But again, that was also odd timing.
It was. Everything's been
because she was
strange.
just a second, and a lot of times the seconds are just invisible.
Yeah, and she's a second for someone who's not even like in her faction.
Right.
She's just out there, so she's just taking the liberty to insert herself in this match, essentially.
Yeah, and if you don't watch Stardom, you're like, what do you mean that's weird? You got to understand.
Everything means something.
There's Stardomisms.
My guys.
There's things that they just do. And your seconds, even though they're out there and you see these girls out there, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to get involved in the match. They're there to beat on the ring and be supportive. And,
they kind of hide. You don't really notice them unless you're looking for them.
So there's never, and that's another thing I love.
Yeah.
It's not going to mean interference at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
They'll stand there and watch you get completely killed.
Yeah, they will. They're not, unless it's hate, they're not going to touch you. And along that line, something that I love about Japanese like tag wrestling and stuff that I wish would be implemented more in American wrestling, if there's a multi-man match, people get off the side of the ring.
Yes.
Like, it's not their turn. They're like in the floor so people can see.
All Japanese wrestling.
I just love that. I think it's really cool.
Me too.
Okay, so following that, we had a match where Rion, Waka Tsukiyama, Mina Shirakawa, and Maika took on Hina, Tomoka Inaba, Saki Kashima, and Shiri. So a little EXV versus God's Eye, and sort of like just an exhibition match. It was like, we're just going to throw these two 4-woman teams against each other and see what happens.
But it paid off, though. It was a great match.
It was really good. Saki Kashima ended up getting the win for God's Eye using the Super Hot, which is her like double underhook backbreaker.
Yeah.
It's like nasty looking, but Saki getting a win without using the Kishikaise is always fun.
Yeah, it was a great match, though.
It was really fun. I agree. After that, we got into the tournament action, starting with Rina versus Tabata. This match was distracting.
So Tabata, how do I say this in a correct way?
Let's say the night before, she was wearing this really cute pink gear that had like the skin sections were fabric that were skin colored, and it was very nice looking. I really like that gear. This night, she wore gear that looked like she might not make it through the match without showing a little too much of something somewhere.
there was a lot going on.
And I love women flaunting it, okay? I'm all about it, but sometimes I worry as a woman who has like done things where things slip out of places. You got to be careful, okay? So I worry just as a woman, like I don't want them to get embarrassed, you know? So when I see something like that, I'm like, oh God, please don't let anything happen.
Yeah.
But that didn't take away from her ability to wrestle in this match. Obviously, she's very confident in herself and her own gear. But she and Rina just put together a spectacular little match. It was very on par with the match she had with Hina the night before. And
I think she could beat Micah if she wore that.
yeah. You just get in the ring with Micah, and she's like, "Oh, well, I don't know what's going on here.
Where am I at? What's my name?
What's happening?" And then she pins her like Chi-Chi pinned Yuna the other night, you know? And then it's all over. She would not get up.
It is over. That's a deep cut.
So Rina won the quarterfinal match against Tabata using the double knees off of the ropes. So she books her ticket to the semifinals where she belongs.
And very impressed with Tabata.
Yes, she's really good.
We've seen her 3 times this week, and all 3 times she impressed the big time. She really good, man. Yeah,
and we're gonna see more of her in the future because she has a Future of Stardom title shot. I don't know if that's coming up on the New Blood in the next week or not, but
I would say it probably is.
Or at the end of the month. It's sometime in March, but I'd say so. So that'll be fun to see that rematch between her and Hina.
And then
Miyu Amasaki versus Hanan, which it was about what you would expect it to be.
It really was. Yeah,
like you hear this match and you imagine something in your head. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's exactly it. What you're seeing right now was what happened.
It was what happened, and the winner is who you would expect it to be. Yeah. It was Hanan with another backdrop suplex hold finish. So she's getting mileage out of that move in this tournament, and I love it because I just think back to last year in her amazing match against Mirai where she struggled the whole match to get that backdrop suplex, and it's finally what won the match for her. So I'm glad that she's using it this year to her advantage and just killing people with it.
It's not going to help her with Sayaka Kurara, but
if she gets that far to face her.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sayaka Kurara, in the semi-main event, the final tournament match of the night, which I think speaks volumes about what these two have accomplished in the last year, Sayaka Kurara versus Rana Yagami in the Cinderella tournament. And this is just everything that I love about Stardom and everything that I've been waiting for to see. And they delivered.
Yes.
They gave me everything that I wanted.
So
and
good.
Even though I had a very strong feeling that Sayaka Kurara was going to win, a little part of me was still like gasping and oohing and awing when Rana would get close to possibly winning.
It seemed like Rana was going to win several times.
Yeah, I mean, she had everything on point, all those leg lariats, all the kicks, everything was perfect in this match from both of them. And I was so proud. And Sayaka Kurara getting the win with that crazy falcon arrow that she started doing was just the cherry on top for this match.
Great match.
It was so good. It's the best match that these two have had against each other by far, and it's just going to get better from here. This is not their peak.
No, they're going to be rivals for a while.
I love it. I love this rivalry.
They're going to be rivals.
I love it so much because it just puts me in mind of an old school rivalry with like Manami Toyota and Yumika Hota.
Right.
And recently, Rana's really been like giving me Hota in matches with those little like arm kicks.
Yeah.
Like where she'll just be walking around you and just kicking you every once in a while. It just gives me All Japan Women. I love it so much.
Oh, me too.
And of course, Sayaka Kurara's craziness with the Toyota-like movements and stuff.
Yes, Toyota-like movements, and just every now and then, if you squint and look right, it looks very Toyota-ish.
It's just such a callback. They both are, and I just love them so much. But Sayaka Kurara will be the one going to the semifinals of the Cinderella tournament. Hopefully, Rana Yagami will have her chance next year, or maybe in the 5-star she'll get another chance to do well.
She will.
But definitely not the last we'll see of Rana in tournaments. And in the main event of this show, we had a little Neo Genesis versus Hate, where Suzu Suzuki, Meisera Azumi, and Starlight Kid took on Ruraka, Konami, Natsukatora, and Saya Kamatani. And the most interesting thing coming out of this match, of course, Neo Genesis got the win when Starlight Kid used the Momo latch that she learned from her trainer, Momo, on Konami to win the match. And Konami's like, oh, you gotta win over me, blah, blah, it won't be the same this weekend or whatever. She said, you know, how she is. But Starlight Kid actually wanted to talk to Saya Kamatani after this match because she was like, you know, you're all this talk about retiring and we haven't had our chance against each other. So she basically talked herself into a singles match with Saya Kamatani on March 20th in Okinawa.
Amazing.
Which is just really cool because it's like, if you're retiring, I want to have my chance to face you before you're gone. I don't know if you're going to win or lose, so I don't want to take that chance, which is really cool of her, I think.
Me too.
So I really enjoyed that. But it's crazy because coming up we have the 15th, this weekend, is the semifinals and finals of the Cinderella tournament. And then next week on the 20th and the 22nd is Stardom's spring vacation. Both nights, like a night in between the two nights. But according to the distribution schedule, all three of these shows are going to be pay-per-views. So they're going to have some great matches.
Which I'm glad about because I don't have to worry about the signal.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll gladly pay for it.
But as far as the Cinderella tournament goes, the finals are this weekend. And of this 2 semifinal matches we have are Sayaka Kurara versus Azusa Inaba and Hanan versus Rina. And we've already talked about in our last show when we reviewed the first night, we already said that we think Sayaka and Rina will be going to the final on the same night, and that Sayaka Kurara is going to win the whole kit and caboodle.
I stick with it.
You do?
Yeah.
I think so too. I think it's Sayaka's year. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if Rina won the Cinderella tournament, but I just feel like that momentum is going to carry Sayaka Kurara to the win. I
feel like if Hate gets involved and we get some story out of it, that Rina could win.
Yeah.
Or Sayaka could win because of Hate. Mm-hmm. And
it would be crazy to win the Cinderella on a disqualification.
And Rina maybe starts her ascent toward her sisters.
Ooh. This could be the kickoff of Rina babyface turn.
Could be. There's so much could happen.
I know, there's so much that could happen, and that's all going down this weekend on March 15th, so make sure you watch out for that and watch for the pay-per-view link because you're not going to want to miss it.
Oh, no.
We always retweet when they tweet the pay-per-view link, so if you want to go to X and go to @Cult of Joshi, you can find it there pretty easily. Or you can go to the We Are Stardom Twitter and look for it there because they always post, usually the day of the pay-per-view, they post the link up. But it's pretty easy to use the International Stage Crowd website to get pay-per-views. So
it is.
Pretty straightforward. But we're excited. We hope you're excited. Let us know what you thought of all this stuff that has happened about Mariah and Tony, about the Cinderella tournament, about Queen of the Ring, if you've been to seen it. We want to know what your thoughts on the movie. But for now, he's John. I'm Raja. So long from Cult of Joshi. Bye!